All right, I'm live. Okay, great. Welcome to well, there's no one here at the moment, but I'm going to go ahead and just continue on. um, when I first went traveling around the world, so I went out across to North America, went out to Asia, went out to found some really beautiful places. Some places really stuck to mind. Like diamond gems of our planet. Really beautiful places. The Himalayas being one of them. And at the time when I went up there, it was the year 2000. Millennium expeditions were on, and I went up to Mount Everest, to the base camp, and it was perhaps one of the most spectacular journeys that I've ever been on. I was with my partner at the time, Rose, and we were walking up the sides of the track, and I remember these toilets, right? And these toilets on the side of the track, sort of, because it was quite a big distance between sort of, coffee or rest house to rest house. So they had toilets because they knew that tourists needed to go to the toilet. And they were just a wooden hut on the side of the road. And I remember walking in, open this creaky door, and this instant sort of whiff of toilet. And the floor was just a nightmare to get over. And if you look down the hole where the toilet hole is, so it's a squatting sort of toilet, and then there would be two pigs underneath looking up, ready for action. And yeah, many people just wouldn't use it. I remember having to use it the one time, and sort of managed to coordinate the rest of the trip without having to use one. Nepal was an incredible and beautiful place, and that's the only thing tourists and trekkers ever spoke about, were these toilets. But then I went back around, actually within the space of 10 years, I went back to Bali. Was one of the countries, one of the places, which was another diamond gem of our planet. And then I also went back up to Nepal on expedition, and I just saw that it was completely built up with business, with tourism, and as a consequence of that, just lots of damage to waste and to the environment. Bali used to be a really beautiful place, but then as a consequence, these beautiful streams of water, beautiful, stunning turquoise sea, lovely fresh air, incredible people, and these luscious green fields. It's a paradise, and it was regarded as one of the top 10 places to go and visit. And for some people, it's the best place. And when I went back, all of those beautiful streams gone, just dirty gray streams with plastic and waste inside. The turquoise blue sea gone. The luscious green fields full of waste, and just seeing trucks dumping waste on them. No one had considered the impact along the way. And as a result, if you look at that now, there are, the beaches are full of plastic litter coming from other places around the world. I mean, it really is, the impact that's been had as a result of tourism, business, innovation, commerce, and so forth. Is it a result of that, or is it a result of not caring? And I think it's actually the process of just focusing on the cash. And that's actually what I want to share, is that, becoming successful, it's possible. There is a way to be able to, in fact, there are many ways. It's been proven, it's been tried, it's been tested. And even right now, with the state of the economic environment globally, it's still possible to find good opportunities and to make money. That can be done. And of course, that's what I'm sharing. But at the same time, when you go and meet a lot of people who did do just that, and they live out there, or they've come back and revisited Bali like I have, and they found that, there's all this damage that's been done, and it's heart-wrenching. You look at that and you think, well, where's the sustainability in this? And that is really important, because even though the drive is to make money and live on a beautiful island, the consequences of just focusing on making money has been extreme damage. And you do the same in Nepal. It's exactly the same. When I went back to Nepal, I just heard lots of people complaining about the waste. And so I decided that, and I thought about it, it made sense. When I went up there before, I just assumed that it was being taken care of. But then when I sort of thought through it like a local business, I thought, well, this doesn't make sense. It costs money for people to transfer food up the mountain so that tourists like myself can enjoy the food, and they pay a lot of money for someone to carry that stuff up there, for porters to carry it up. And then they can't afford to then bring it down, because we as the as the customer, and I definitely remember it myself, would complain and say, oh, this is too expensive. And of course that price would have to be more, because they have to get porters to take it down. So I felt partially responsible. And so what I did is I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try and create a positive impact on this particular trek, and collect not just all the products that I will use for my food, etc., but try and bring back 10 times more than I could have possibly used on my previous trek with my partner at the time. And that's when the project of Guardians of the Himalayas, as part of the Green Stars program that I'm working on at the moment, came about. And so I got a doco. I've got a video that I could share. Got a doco, which is like a basket that the porters carry. Put all my stuff in, and I went up to, this time I wanted to go to Annapurna. I didn't want to go back to Everest. My feeling was to go to Pokhara Lake, go up to Annapurna, and enjoy the Himalayas over there. And the problem was still the same. And so the question comes about, asking, okay, and it was a great, incredible journey, and it felt so good to not just go up there and do this journey, but also to have such a positive impact. And therein lies the crux of mindfulness when it comes to chasing these opportunities. Or more often than not, and especially in a situation where we're struggling financially, we just focus on, just need money, just need to get money to survive. What are the opportunities? How do I get that? And mindfulness and care about other people, or the impact we have along the way, it's gone. But then there's so much potential, because there's no consideration at all about taking care. There's so much potential for more damage to be done, and I'm sure that's happening right now. I've been in touch with people and seeing what they're doing to build their wealth and tap opportunities that are available to them in different countries, and they're not considering other people along the way. Now, the impact of that is that not only is it going to have damage to the environment, but it's not going to have, that good karma, and that feeling of achievement will be impaired greatly by the negative impact that happens along the way. And so what I want to share with you is a really powerful process and a way of thinking that you can incorporate right now, that has a positive impact while you're going along, striving to find your opportunities and striving for those opportunities, but at the same time has a powerful impact on society, and brings a greater sense of satisfaction and internal happiness. And that's called the mindful process, or being mindful. And I know there's lots of different words for being mindful and what that means. This is a particular way of integrating mindfulness specifically for businesses. And it's what I used to teach corporations way back in 2006, 2008. It was part of the mindful business that I had here in the UK, and how I worked with other sort of department heads, leaders, blue chip companies, banks, together with other sort of coaches and mentors, to have such a powerful impact and incredible results that actually brought a lot of attention. We had a very fast growing network of experts and people within corporation, because they were hearing about the impact this was having on their business in terms of sales, presentations, leadership, managers to leadership, engaging staff, all of these things that we actually probably, and I know for me, are questions on my mind, and tick boxes that are on my journey of tapping these opportunities. So what is mindfulness and how does it impact us? And that's what I want to share with you now, and how you can incorporate that into your journey right now, no matter what stage of development you're at, whether you're just starting off, or whether you're a business, or whether you're a high level executive, or whether you've already got a fully functioning business. This process and application into your business should have incredible results when applied properly, and perhaps coached properly, because that's what I used to do, is train and coach people individually on this process. And they're able, over the time and consistency, and in fact, within a very short time, they're able to have incredible results. And of course, the fulfillment and satisfaction, it's so different from just the basic achievement, even though, of course, there's that happiness contained within achieving that goal. So let me share with you now the core aspect of how to tap in with mindfulness and incorporate that into your life. A note needs to be mentioned on happiness. A lot, we're struggling. The system is designed so that we produce, right? And the system is designed as well so it's easily accessible for entrepreneurs, perhaps like yourself, like myself, and like many people in a growing market of entrepreneurs. So we think, right, imagine that that someone won the national lottery, right? So there's this game. I don't know who's watching at the moment, so I can talk about England and some countries. You get some numbers, you pay £1 or whatever the price might be. You get some numbers, and if you win that, you can be potentially winning lots of money. But of course, most people don't win it. Only if one or two, or sometimes never, do get the numbers, because the probability is very, very, very low. But just imagine that someone was watching TV and saw their 6 numbers come in, and that to them would mean, I don't know, £30 million, for example. That's a lot of money. That's like $40 million or something. Instantly within their mind, there'd be this incredible release of positive emotions, positive hormones in the brain that would make that person be so elated they would jump up and down with joy. The reason for that is because the connection between finances and the freedom of mind, and not feeling as though one's trapped or one's sort of tied down for any reason, that freedom of mind is what happens in that particular moment. And there's this overwhelming sense of happiness, this sense of freedom as well. So the money is directly connected to freedom, and it's directly connected to this really high and happy feeling. And many people are stuck in that particular place, right, without ever experiencing that pure elation. They're just stuck in this trap, or in this web of non-freedom within their mind. So the happiness is anchored to the cash and to the winnings, but that's only a short-lived feeling, right? That particular feeling, 12 to 24 months, is what some research suggests. That within that time, that particular elation, those hormones in the mind, they settle down, and then there isn't that elation anymore. It's gone. It's disappeared. And there's a number of different takeaways from that particular understanding, but it doesn't bring the fulfillment. And in fact, it can cause, and for many people, a lot more problems. So people have ended up depressed, they've ended up in rehabilitation, and they've ended up broke because spending the money doesn't bring that sense of happiness. So what is, and I want to share with you very briefly, when I traveled, I met many successful people. I met many super wealthy people in different situations in their life. And this was a common theme, that depending on how they achieved their money, wasn't happiness at all. They were very rich, but not happy internally. And in fact, struggling internally, because now money can't buy that happiness beyond that initial sort of elation and feeling. So the question is, okay, well, what is happiness? So on the other side, right, I met quite a few monks when I was studying to become a monk myself. And monks generally have a life of, relinquishing. So they have like their robes, they have like a bed, they have like a really small room, or they share a room. It's really a life of humility, right? And yet at the same time, they're some of the most brightest people. When I say brightest, not necessarily just in intelligence, because there are very intelligent monks as well, and they get some really great education. But their sense of happiness, the energy, the lightness, and their inner happiness is so high. In fact, there was one particular chap who I met. He had practically nothing, even though, of course, he had food that was provided by the monastery, he had clothes, and he had a room. So he had his basic needs covered, which is really quite important. That's one aspect, having the basic needs. But he had this intense inner happiness, and he also had the freedom of mind, yet he didn't have any money whatsoever. And over the time of exploring and understanding with the different teachers and masters, what I came to learn is that happiness and fulfillment are linked to just more than the freedom of mind, but also connect, and not just finances, but are linked to many other things that give us a different sensation that we call happy. And what that boils down to now is the process called the mindful process, which is happiness, by helping, benefiting, and truly benefiting others. So these are three tiers of impact that we can have on our journey at any stage of our life, at any point of our life, whether we've got, $10 in the bank account, or whether we've got, $100 million in the bank account. And I'm sure for many of you, like myself, you might be thinking, oh, that would be so great to have that. And one can incorporate this process right away while continuing on one's original trajectory. But it might even help enhance that trajectory. And I've definitely found that it does. So, but the inner sense of happiness from helping someone, imagine, and benefiting and truly benefiting. So imagine, for example, you have someone who's begging on the street, right? And you go up to them, and they're putting their hand out for some money, and you think, oh, well, let me help this person. So you buy them a bowl of rice. That feeds that person for that particular day. But then you might sort of say to yourself, okay, well, that doesn't necessarily help. I mean, it helps, but it doesn't necessarily help for the long term. So what can I do to help in the long term? And I'm just using this as an example. And you could say, well, how can I benefit that person? Well, if I could find a way to help that person be able to grow their own rice so that they can feed themselves every day, well, that would be even better. because they would be able to lift themselves out of their problems, at least in this case when it comes to begging for food, if that's the reason why they are begging. So benefiting, and that's when you really help someone by education so that they can lift themselves up. So it's a handout to help up in this particular scenario. But then the third tier is asking or training that particular person while you're helping them, feeding them for that day, while you're benefiting them and helping them be able to sustain themselves, but is asking how to truly benefit by helping them help other people. And when you apply that third tier of enabling that empathy and compassion within the other person to help others while they are on their own journey of helping themselves and learning and growing and achieving these opportunities, in that sense, you don't just feed that one person for a day or for life, you feed an entire nation. And that's the tier of helping, benefiting, and truly benefiting. And when you think about that, and you know, because and I'm going to give it very briefly, as simply explained. If you feel that, you know, you sort of imagine that feeling, you help someone one day and you give them a bowl of rice, that feels pretty good. But then you sort of find an opportunity for them to make money. I don't know what that might be. Maybe in the local shop down the road, they're looking for another person who they could train in arts and crafts so they can make more product to sell to tourists, perhaps. I don't know what the scenario may be. That's just an example. And then you're able to help them get an education to be able to get that opportunity so that they can support themselves. That feeling is so much deeper, and it feels like you've really helped someone lift them up, you know, out of their suffering, you know, or giving them the opportunity so that they can lift themselves out of their suffering. That feeling is 10 times so more powerful, positive, as in happiness and inner fulfillment, that the impact has been so awesome along the way. But now imagine that that person is taught this aspect of mindfulness and the mindful process. And at the same time as them learning and them taking care of themselves, they're able to help many other people, one other person, two other people, 10 other people, 100 other people, 1,000 other people. And it helps lift them out of their situation. Now you can imagine how that would feel like. We're talking 10, 100, 1,000 times more incredible as a sensation of happiness and fulfillment. And therein lies the secret that's behind mindfulness. And that wisdom and that knowledge can be applied directly to while we're on our own journey. It doesn't need to wait. You know, when I used to coach businesses, I remember one particular chap, and we were having a discussion, and you know, he heard about what I was doing and where I was going with my project, and he said, you know, I want to help other people, but I want to wait until I've made my money first. You know, make my money first, then I'll help other people. You see, along the way, there's no consideration of the impact, and it's just a focus on making money, cutting expenses here, finding cheaper products there. But that type of focus comes at a cost to someone somewhere, either socially or, like, as in, you know, the type of labor you hear about in other countries, which are completely exploiting locals, which has such a negative impact on them, their lives, and their, you know, their own well-being. And then you've got the environment as well. You know, no or little to none, especially in the fashion industry, when it comes to, and I say that as a generalization, of course, there are people who I've met and I've been able to help collaborate with in some cases about how to actually reduce that impact on the environment while producing their products, and that actually enhancing their product offering, which is really, really cool. And so stopping that impact of those dyes and those chemicals, whatever that might be, but going into the environment, contaminating water and so forth. There's a lot of damage that happens from commerce, and it's just being blatantly ignored, but it's having a really, really bad adverse effect. And the planet has no borders, so it impacts all of us. So that when we go to somewhere like Bali, we go back to the Himalayas, it's full of trash and waste, and the air is polluted, the water's polluted, the land's polluted, and it's a risk to health for all of us, And I met many scientists, and that's the case. We've got, by activities happening in different parts of the world, again, because the environment doesn't see any borders. Winds carry across just naturally from one country to the other, from one part of the world to the other. There are a number of different systems, and they're all interconnected. That's how nature works in that aspect. And there's the problem that we find, because it impacts all of us. So if we can, so this happiness factor. So when I work with some people, I'm thinking of one bank manager, and I'll share this as the one story for you, because it's a nice one to end on, and it really sort of does highlight the implications of how does this work? How do we apply this in our lives? And so one particular manager was working for a bank, and that particular branch was just a small branch, and it's a multinational bank that this manager worked for. So to protect names and so forth, I won't mention all of that. But because it's all under confidentiality, of course, when one does coach and work with other people. And so what happened was, this particular person wanted to get the next promotion, wanted to become the branch manager of that particular branch. On previous attempts, that wasn't possible. As acting branch manager, when the actual branch manager left, this person would be promoted to the branch manager position until there was another manager found for that role, and then later on would be demoted back to the main position that person held. This particular time, the goal was, I want to become branch manager. 3 times now I've been passed up for the role, and now I want to get it. This is my last chance, I feel, to become branch manager. And I said, so why do you want to be branch manager? Well, because it'll be great for my career that I've been a manager of a branch. It'll be great financially. I can then buy the bigger house that I want. I'll have a bigger income to do other things. It's really what I want for my life now. And I thought, okay, well, that's great. And I said, okay, well, let's just hold that. You know what you want and you know what you need. Let's just put that to one side for a second. And now let's get a blank sheet of paper and let's ask the question again. How can I help? How can I benefit? And how can I truly benefit others? And I explained it in the same way as I explained earlier, that I said, okay, well, think about helping as in giving a person a bowl of rice and you feed them for that day. Think of benefiting as, teach someone how to grow rice and you feed that person for life. But teach someone the art of mindfulness and the mindful process, empathy and compassion, then you feed an entire nation. And so what that person did was to start to write down all the different things and the different ways. So the question behind that became, well, what is it that my staff need? The cashiers at the sort of the front line of the bank, working with customers. What is it that the customers want and that they need? What is it that my my branch manager, like the manager above me, what does he or she want? And it was actually a he in this particular case. Um, what does he want from me? And what does the company, the bank as a whole, what do they want? And what do they need? And exploring that, one's able to really sort of step into the shoes and get a good insight. And that's sort of step one. Step number two is to then ask the question with those particular individuals. What is it that you want? What is it that you need? What do you feel would help you here at your job? What do you feel that's missing? All of these sorts of questions come about. But you see, in that questioning of how can I help? How can I benefit? And how can I truly benefit other people? At the same time, the question comes, well, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? What's your pain point? And how can I be of service? Now, you can imagine if you've had a boss, or just in relationships in general, if you had someone come up to you and genuinely want to ask you these questions, you can imagine that dialogue. And that's exactly what did happen. Excuse me. So this acting branch manager went and spoke with the different staff and asked good questions to really understand from their perspective what it was that they wanted, what it is that they needed, where were their pain points, what could be done in the workplace to help them perform better. And so there was a big list that was made, and it was this massive mind map of different people. And it wasn't just one time, but there was a couple of sessions with in some cases with the same person, some cases daily communications. And that person created this incredible mind map, and then started asking in a resourceful way, well, how can I help? How can I benefit? How can I truly benefit with the power of influence that I have? And that person went about doing that. And so we worked together over the space over a very short time. But of course, that wasn't our goal. Our goal was just to work together until the realizations of this new way of thinking came about and bear fruition. The goal then was, okay, well, you've got your personal goals. You've now got this new mind map. How can we integrate the two together so that they become one set of goals? And where they do align, where there were these nice alignments of personal goals with the goals of how I can help benefit and truly benefit other people by meeting and solving the pain points that people were experiencing, excuse me, we created, or this person was able to create diamond goals. And then looking from where I am now, or where that person is now, or where you are now, the question is then, okay, how can I go from here to there? What do I need? What are going to be my resources? Who are the experts? In that case, I was the expert that came on as the coach, the mentor, and the trainer. And what were the other sorts of financial commitments or commitments to help personal for growth, or to actually implement ideas and solutions? And you know what? In the space of 4 weeks, with that way of thinking, something incredible happened. The and of course, the sort of the same fears came up at some point. Oh, I really want to get the job. Will I get the job? Of course, that I was there as a coach to say, well, just put that to one side. Keep focused on how can I help benefit and truly benefit all the people in my circle of influence, my boss, my staff, the customers, etc. And a month later, the news comes in, and from top down, and he said, we've picked our branch manager. So this person had a call with the branch manager, with the sort of senior to the branch manager, and an hour later, that person came off the phone, having been awarded the promotion to branch manager. And of course, that person was completely over the moon. And not only that, what that person later found was that the hiring manager actually went to the staff, saw the productivity, because what happened was the way this person engaged with the staff, the way the staff then engaged with the customers, the way the number of sales that then happened as a result, the better staff morale that happened as a result of the different things that were implemented by the acting branch manager at the time, and the communications between the acting branch manager and the senior became, were all noted as to the impact that, and the way, and the remarks that came back from the customers about the staff about, of course, the leader, and of course the senior about the leader, was just a massive transformation in their eyes and for the world that this person created in the branch. In fact, they got the best number of sales across the entire country. Such positive reports at a time of crisis, I remember, financially for a number of banks, and that person got the promotion, and it was really, really a great. I mean, it was great, we did it in it was all done in the space of a month, which I would like to say it's possible, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily typical, but this person was able to apply. It can be done. There's no doubt. I mean, so it's perhaps one of the most rapid and direct paths to achieving the goals that everyone actually wanted. And that's the key of applying mindfulness to one's own goals, and how the path that's led. So there's a great quote that pops to mind. It's nice, if we think about the journey in the end, there's this goal that we all aim for, but the way we go about attaining that goal is actually what matters. And that's the power of mindfulness. And that process of asking, how can I help? How can I benefit? How can I truly benefit others? Engaging with people, engaging in conversations, and actually delivering that, by finding people's pain points and finding what their needs, what their wants are, and being able to actually create solutions for that resourcefully, is the way to then create, aim for the same goal of success, financial freedom, career, relationships, if that's the case. What else have we got? We've got other health and wellness and so forth. All of these things can be still part of our life dreams and goals, and at the same time part of our passion, part of our inspiration on that side. But at the same time, it's asking, well, how can I help? How can I benefit? And how can I truly benefit other people along the journey while I'm heading towards there? And in that way, the happiness from success, goals, happiness from finding, achieving whatever that might be in career and relationships, in health, well-being, and finance. And then on the other side, helping, benefiting, and truly benefiting along the way. The happiness contained in all of those, it's like bringing the best from each of those paths to bring in both happiness, which is one way. There's lots of happinesses, but the feelings from the different types of happiness, and the fulfillment from the service on the journey. And in that way, you bring the wisdom of the monks, and you bring the attainment of the entrepreneurs, and there you have the beautiful intersection. And that's the mindfulness as applied to our life, no matter what it is we dream, we want, what drives us, and what inspires us. So I hope that's been of service to you. I'm going to leave this video up for you to review. We're coming on to 40 minutes, so it hasn't been too bad. It's shorter than I normally talk for, and that's because this is a subject that I'm all very familiar with. And I hope that this really does serve you and that it helps ease your pain points. It helps meet your needs and your wants so that you too can apply this mindful process on your journey while you're striving towards achieving your goals, your dreams. I'm Alan Bywaters. It's been a pleasure. Stay tuned for more videos. Like, comment, share with your friends if you feel that this can serve or benefit them. Take care.